Okay, let's talk about private equity. You know, this world of high finance and massive multi-billion-dollar deals. But here's the thing. It's also a high-stakes game, and a lot of the players, they don't even know the rules. So today, we're going to change that.
And that really gets to the heart of it, doesn't it? It feels like this total black box. I mean, we're talking about a world that moves trillions of dollars, but how it actually works, it's a complete mystery to pretty much all of us on the outside looking in.
You've seen the headlines, right? They're always dramatic. One day, some company you know and love gets snapped up in a massive buyout. The next day, you're hearing about these insane returns for investors. And then, bam, sudden layoffs, even bankruptcies that just seem to pop up out of thin air.
But what's really going on between those headlines? You know, how do these deals actually get put together? What are the real pressures, the timelines? What's really driving these firms? Yeah, that's the stuff that stays hidden, tucked away behind closed doors.
So, that brings us to a really crucial question. Who are these unsuspecting players getting pulled onto the field? I mean, who's out there making these huge, career-defining decisions without even realizing what kind of game they're playing?
Well, it usually comes down to three main groups, and a lot of the time, they don't even know they're in the game. You've got your executives, the ones brought in to run the company after it's been bought. Then you've got the founders, right? The people selling the businesses they poured their blood, sweat, and tears into. And of course, you have the investors, the ones putting up the cash, all hoping for those big, splashy returns. And this is where it gets dangerous, because these folks walk in thinking, okay, it's just another business deal. But the reality? Oh, it's so different. They've just walked into a totally different game, a game where the rules, the pressures, even what it means to win, it's all been completely rewritten. We're not talking about slow and steady long-term growth here. No, it's all about one thing, a profitable exit, usually in just 3 to 5 years.
And not knowing the rules isn't just a small problem. It can have some really serious consequences. So let's talk about the real-world cost of playing this game blind.
Let's start with founders. I've seen this happen more times than I can count. A founder sells the business that was their whole life, right? They think they're going to stick around, help guide it into the future. But just a few months later, they're completely pushed aside, sidelined from their own creation. Why? Because the new owners are working from a totally different playbook, and it is fast.
And what about executives? Someone gets a great offer to join a PE-owned company. They jump in, ready to innovate, and boom. Suddenly the conversation isn't about R&D or building a great culture anymore. It's all about slashing costs, squeezing out every last drop of short-term profit, and making that company look good for a quick flip. The rules just completely changed right under their feet.
And even the investors aren't always safe. They see those big promises of high returns and commit a ton of capital. But what they might not realize is just how illiquid that money is. I mean, it can be locked up for a decade or even longer. And that's not all. The fee structures, the famous 2 and 20, can be super confusing and opaque, and they can quietly chew away at those returns you were so excited about.
So when you look at all of these stories, the founders, the executives, the investors, it all points back to one thing, one crucial unwritten rule. And if you take one thing away from this, let it be this.
Here it is. This is the heart of the matter. If you don't understand how private equity really works, you are playing a game where the other side knows all the rules, and you don't. It's that simple. You're not just signing a contract, you're sitting down at a high-stakes table. And if you don't know the playbook, you're playing against pros who have this thing down to a science.
So that brings us to the big question, a question for you. What's your next move? I mean, really think about it for a second. Have you ever seen this happen? Someone walking into one of these deals totally blind to what's really driving the people on the other side of the table. Because look, the key isn't to be afraid of the game or to avoid it altogether. The key is to learn the rules before you even think about sitting down to play.